Actually, it's the lead play in our offense.
We ask our YN or a tight end to open up somewhere between 6 feet and 9 feet, get an isolation with the linebacker. We tell the tackle to take the defensive end if he's over him, if he's not, to drive down on the first man to his inside. If the YN has the linebacker taken out, he cuts inside. If the YN has the linebacker in, he comes all the way around. If you look at this play, what we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here. Try to run this play in the alley.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. You can find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email the show, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Joined alongside Tim live in Green Bay. We got some breaking news here right out of the gate we're going to get to. Tim, how was your day, bub? You doing all right?
Yeah, great, man. Great day up here. Beautiful weather in Titletown. Kind of looks like that backdrop right now. Nice little sunset over Titletown. Yeah. Beautiful day. Went for a hike, got outside. It was great. Good Sunday.
Good stuff. Got out and touched some grass, as the kids say, right?
That's right.
I think that's what they say anyway.
Yeah.
It's funny because anytime you say, yeah, the weather was great here, I'm expecting, okay, it's probably 23 degrees, and that's warm for them, right? But it does. I've heard that the weather's kind of breaking up there as well. We had a little cold spell today. I think we got up to a high of about 44, but the rest of the week's supposed to warm up pretty nice. So we'll see how it all shakes out there. Now, like I said, we got some news to break, obviously, with DeAndre Campbell. There's some other nuggets that got released by Tom Silverstein, and I know Paul Brittle's been doing a great job communicating that with Packer fans through his own kind of his viewpoint and all the articles he's written here lately. Before we get into all that, just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, and that is Ticket King. Ticket King is the official ticket provider of Packers Total Access Live, Wisconsin-based since 1992. They are your source for Packer tickets, specializing in that. Wisconsin's largest ticket source as well. They've got offices next to Lambeau Field and in Milwaukee. If you guys are interested in potentially doing business with Ticket King, just click on the link in the description of this video. That will send you directly to www.theticketking.com, where you can register for free as a customer and get yourself ready for that May schedule release. They do an excellent job of saving Packer fans money on Packers tickets all the way up to the last second. And obviously competing with some of the bigger name companies. You definitely want to check with Ticket King before spending a little bit more at a different place. So again, we appreciate Ticket King being the official ticket provider of Packers Total Access Live, based in Wisconsin, right across the street from Lambeau Field. We definitely appreciate them. So with that being said, let's get into the news of the day. I know we got a ton of people here in the chat already. Give a shout out. We got Eric Sutherland in the house. We got Jarrell Lee. Let's see, we've got a United Bates. Greg's in the house. Ron Samville, Peter Stone. Let's see here. Greg, yeah, SDM40 up in here making jokes. Got Joe Barry taking a couple strays from the Baker Mayfield contract. We got Dead Fish in the house. We got Ian in here. Chris Nichols, what's up, Chris? John, whole bunch of people, man. Too many to mention, really. Greg, let's see, Greg Rice. Chris Larry, we appreciate y'all. So Turtles, what's up, man? Good to see you, bub.
Randy Cleaver's in the chat.
Yeah,
everybody's rolling in. I like it.
Man, it's we got the whole crew out in full force tonight. Let's just get right to it, Tim. Let's not bury the lead here, as obviously the news came down the wire. Paul Brittle had tweeted this out. The Packers will release linebacker DeAndre Campbell with a post June 1st designation. What it means for the Packer cap situation and what's ahead at linebacker. He did a great job kind of going through the details. We had mentioned before that if you cut DeAndre Campbell, you're only saving $2.5 million, right? And basically the way that would work is pre-June 1st, if you would have cut him, you would have freed up about $2.5, $2.7 million, somewhere around that ballpark. Or if you waited post-June 1st, you could save around 10, right? I think it was 10.5. Now, the problem with that is you're going to be carrying a cap penalty next year. If you had cut him before June 1st, you would have absorbed the cap penalty this year, much like we did with Aaron Rodgers' contract last year in moving on from him pre-June 1st. So instead, really what this says, Tim, is Goody's think about spending a little bit of money in free agency is what it kind of looks like to me. But as we get into the details, Paul does a great job breaking it down here. I'll try to read this to you guys and not be boring doing it. The Green Bay Packers will release linebacker DeAndre Campbell, according to Tom Silverstein of Packers News, a move that will create $10.57 million in cap space for the 2024 season. In order to net that much in salary cap savings, the Packers will designate Campbell as a post-June 1st cut, meaning the $10.57 million in savings won't be recognized on the salary cap until June 2nd. So from a spending standpoint, with free agency on the horizon, this move does not benefit the Packers at the moment. They still have to carry Campbell's original $14.23 million cap hit through June 1st, but will avoid paying him a roster bonus of $2.9 million on March 15th. On June 2nd, the Packers will clear $10.57 million in 2024 cap space, with Campbell leaving behind a dead cap hit this season of $3.67 million. Over the cap currently has the Packers with $13.62 million in available cap space, which ranks 22nd league-wide. For Campbell, he does immediately become a free agent and can sign with whomever he pleases. He does not have to wait until June 2nd to join a team. When a player is released without a post-June 1st designation, there may be a dead cap hit left behind in the current year, but that player is then off the salary cap books the following season. However, with a post-June 1st designation, this is dead cap that is absorbed both in the current year and in the following season, meaning Campbell will count towards the Packers salary cap in 2025 at $7.97 million. Okay, so just to kind of lay that out, essentially what Goody did here, Tim, was he said, you know what? Rather than just getting it all off the books right now, let's try to free up a little money in 2024. Now, that's technically 2024, but like Paul Brettel said, the money is not going to be available until June the 2nd. But you guys know how we talk about $5 to $7 million operating money throughout the season. Usually Goody's trying to set that aside right now and kind of put himself in a position. It's almost like, hey, that's a check that's going to hit the bank on June 2nd. We know it's good. We know it's going to be there. We don't have to try to scrap and free that money up right now, and they can key in a little more on free agency. So I know some people are saying, no, you don't get that money to spend in free agency. But in the overall terms of 2024 calendar year, they got the money to spend. So to me, it's obvious Goody's probably going to be a little bit aggressive in free agency, Tim. Is that what you're gleaming from it too?
Yeah, sign Bobby Wagner. Let's go.
It's funny you mentioned that, Tim, because actually I've got that right here, man. Ian Rappaport said All-Pro and Pro Bowl linebacker Bobby Wagner is expected to test the market, and it's currently viewed as unlikely that he returns to the Seahawks, source said. Coming off a career-high 183 tackles, Wagner joins a talented off-the-ball linebacker group in free agency. So a couple things here. First of all, who did Ian get that information from? We all knew he was going to be a free agent, right, Tim? Unless Seattle worked out a deal with him. Mm-hmm. That's got to be coming from Bobby Wagner's camp, which is a pretty strong point that the Seahawks aren't that interested in him. So coming out of the gate, I'm not saying he won't warrant more than that $4 million market value that Spot Track has him at, but out of the gate, it's not starting strong for the market for Bobby Wagner. And that's a good sign for people like us who, I know we've talked about it. I'd love to see Bobby Wagner in Green Bay for a year, man, and have him lining up beside Quay. Now, especially now that DeMondre's gone, you know, we were talking about would Dre play Mike, put Quay in at Sam. I kind of feel like the team wants Quay to be the Mike, you know, based off how they've treated him here in the past, wanting him to wear the green dot and all those things. But if you can bring in Bobby Wagner, again, we're freeing up $10.5 million overall the 2024 cap post-June 2nd, or post-June 1, technically June 2nd. If you're freeing that money up and you can get Bobby Wagner for $4 million for 1 year, or even sign him to a 2-year contract where we all know you can get out of the majority of that contract next year if for some reason he does hit the wall this year. But Tim, coming off a career high 183 tackles,
isn't that crazy?
Wow,
man. He's not getting younger, but apparently he's getting more tackles than he's ever had in his career. And you know, we need that. We need a tackling machine, and I like it. Like you said, Dre getting released here coming up Wednesday is gonna, you know, that's what makes this a little more enticing. I think if we were talking about a scenario where DeAndre Campbell was going to play in Green Bay in 2024, we might not be beating the Bobby Wagner drum quite as hard as we are now. I like the idea of some veteran stability mixed in with the young talent that we have, especially in a position like inside linebackers. So, I'm all for it. But I mean, there's a lot of names floating around out there. I mean, we could break out the checkbook for Patrick Queen, or there's a couple options. But I definitely think what this means for sure is we're definitely going to take one, maybe two linebackers in this draft. In addition to maybe, hitting that free agency market too.
Yeah. Just like with us mentioning switching from a 34 to a 4-3, you're now going to have 3 stack backers as opposed to just 2, right? In your base defense. We had kind of came to the realization or understanding that you're going to need at least 2 linebackers added to this roster if everyone returned. One being what I thought would be a starting caliber linebacker, and the other being a backup. Well, now you're going to need 3 with Dre being gone, right? So you're potentially looking at 2 starting base linebackers, right? Quay's going to start. We know how much the Packers front office likes Quay. Whether you guys like him or I like him, it doesn't matter, right? Goody sold on Quay, invested a first-round pick into him. They think he's the linebacker of the future for sure. Same thing with Matt LaFleur too, I'm sure. So with that being said, who's going to start next to Quay Walker in that 4-3 base defense, and really more specifically, who's going to start next to him in that nickel defense? Because that's what we're probably going to be in about 65 to 70% of the time, right? So you go out and get you at least one starting caliber linebacker. To me, Bobby Wagner is that guy, man. Bring him in, let Quay learn from him. Now, there's a couple other names that we had mentioned, Tim. We kind of put together a kind of a small list here to rattle a few of them off. We said, Frankie Louvu, obviously at $10 million per. That's a little bit out of the price range, but he is 27 years old. He graded out at 80 PFF last year. Another one in the green for us was Blake Cashman, $4.2 million. He graded out 82.1. He's 27 years old. Bobby Wagner obviously graded out 82.4. Someone in the chat said, "Isn't he 40 years old?" No, not quite. He's 33.
I wouldn't give a damn if he was 40.
You still playing like
tackles? He can come play football here.
March him out there, man. March him out there. So again, if Bobby Wagner's market gets north of $5 million, I'm not as interested. Right.
Right.
If he does come in at $4 million or less, man,
yeah.
And
we know going into it that this is a 1 year. This is a Band-Aid situation.
Absolutely.
If we get more than one season out of him, that'd be amazing, So we can't act like this is some kind of long-term deal, but you're right. I mean, $4 million a year or less. Oh my goodness. For the production you're going to get for a guy who probably wants another championship before it's all said and done. Let's go. And
again, this isn't like the only way we attack this. If a linebacker hits in the right spot in the draft, take him. You guys see, we've taken linebackers in the second round. I don't think we've ever in our mocks have we taken one in the first round, but we're really quick to take them in the second and the third. Is typically when they fall into place for us in our mocks. Another name too was Tyrell Dotson. His market value is $3.25 million. Only 25 years old. Peaked extreme peak last year with PFF grade of a 90.2. That doesn't seem like it's the norm, but at $3.25 million, I would be okay with a 3-year deal there on someone who's 25 years old and potentially signing. Now there's other players too that we listed at the linebacker position. Those are just the players that I lit up in green and said, okay, we're willing to overpay a touch for great, right? And I think that anyone who grades out above an 80 would be considered currently great. Now, you sign them to a 3-year deal. It's really a 2-year deal. Give them 2 shots. If it don't work out, cut bait, free up some cap, and move on to the next one. But you need to try to get your guy right. That's the big thing. I see people mentioning Blake Cashman. Yeah, he might be my top choice, to be honest with you. 4.2 million, 27 years old, 82.1 PFF grade. There's several linebackers in this market, and some of which that a little bit older, 28 years old. You're like Sean Takataki. You've got Anthony Walker. He's at $2 million, but 28 years old. Both of those guys graded out in the 70s, so there's a little bit of potential there. But the big names for me are Frankie Louvu, which a little bit too high price for me. Blake Cashman, Bobby Wagner, Tyrell Dodson are the three that I'm really interested in. If you can get two of those three, whether it's Cashman, Wagner, or Dodson, I'd feel great about that. And then you go out and draft one. Who knows, man? Whoever Goody has listed as his best linebacker in the draft might fall right in his lap, whether you think it's Peyton Wilson or you're high on Jeremiah Trotter Jr. like me and Junior Colson like me, or maybe it's one of these other guys that people talk about, Edgerrin Cooper. There's several names out there, right? So
that's even after grabbing, a corner or a safety earlier in the draft too. I mean, you can still get really good linebacker quality in the, post second round. I think, third, fourth round kind of area. We could probably land somebody.
Yeah, definitely. Eric Sutherland in the chat said, "Yeah, I like Cashman." One of those players I knew nothing about, and we started combing through free agency, which is why I love doing this pod. You go through and go, okay, who kind of piques our interest, and you go, wow, this dude looking like a kind of an underrated linebacker.
Speaking of Blakes, though, there's another Blake that I hear that's available. Mr. Pokemon is.
Is he out of jail yet? I'm joking. I'm joking, guys. It's a joke.
Blake Martinez. You want to see him in Green Bay again?
I don't, but and I was really excited about Blake when they took him. Didn't they take him in like the third or fourth round? Am I thinking right, Tim?
I think so.
It was kind of early, right? I remember thinking, hey, this dude, I went and watched the college tape and was like, I kind of like this guy. Boy, I was wrong. Deadfish in the chat says, sorry to see Campbell go. He played great that first year, and then the injury bug hit him. Wish him the best. Very well said, Deadfish. I think Dre is a great dude. I know some people don't like him because he speaks his mind. I appreciate that about people. I really enjoy when someone isn't worried about getting canceled. They aren't worried about what other people think of their opinion. They're going to tell you how they. I would much rather someone tell me how they feel and be honest about it, and me know up front, rather than constantly wonder what's he saying right now. What's he doing behind my back? What's he? You know what I mean? Just I respect people who kind of wear their emotion on their sleeve, and they're just honest people. I think Dre is one of those guys.
Yeah,
obviously,
he's the real deal, man.
Yeah. He was our Walter Payton Man of the Year, right? Nominee, if I remember correctly. His wife is just an absolute gem, right? I'll go ahead and say it now, since he's obviously not going to be on the Packers. I ran into him in Green Bay at a restaurant, steakhouse. God, what was the name of that steakhouse? It was in downtown Green Bay. Man. It's on the tip of my tongue. It was told to me it was the nicest steakhouse in the area. But anyway, we're sitting there in this, 200.
You're talking about Republic, probably. Republic Chop House?
Republic Chop House, that's it. Or Chop House Republic, whichever one is. Yeah. We're sitting there waiting, and Mandy went, man, look at that Benz that just rolled up. And I was like, oh, that's like a $230,000 Benz there, Sure enough, Dre gets out with his wife, his bride, and they came in. Just a normal dude, man. Normal. Yep. It was just like, man, I hate to see it not work out. I was a big Dre fan, but anyway, wish him nothing but the best. Very well said there, Deadfish. So Turtles in the chat says, I'm assuming we'll find out Aaron Jones' status tomorrow as well, ? Yeah, I think so. I think so too. I think he's going to be on the roster. The question is he going to rework the deal? How's that going to work? There's some other news that dropped too here. I just kind of took some notes, scouring around here. Obviously, we covered the Dre details. Tom Silverstein also reported that they want to retain cornerback Keyshawn Nixon, linebacker Eric Wilson, and tight end Tyler Davis. So it sounds like, again, when Spoon speaks, right? When Spoon speaks, it's coming from the brass at 1265, right? That's the message they want to put out there. What I was trying to say about Ian a while ago, that came from Bobby Wagner's camp, you can tell. That didn't come from Seattle's camp that, hey, Bobby Wagner's going to test tomorrow, right? That was Bobby Wagner's crew going to Ian and going, hey, get it out there. We're about to hit the market, and let's try to drum up some interest, right? That type of thing. So with this coming from Spoon about Keyshawn Nixon, Eric Wilson, and Tyler Davis, I think that's just trying to send a message like to those guys like, hey, in good faith, we really want you guys back, right? So just keep those three in mind. Tom Silverstein reporting too. It's this is what Tom Silverstein reported. It's a pay cut for Bach or a release. Okay, so basically the ball is in Bach's court now. They can carry him past June 1st, right? He doesn't have a roster bonus at all. If I remember correctly, his base salary is $20.2 million. That's what you're going to free up before week 1, right? So they may try to take this down to the wire and get him to take some kind of a pay cut. Now, whether he does or doesn't, that's Bach's decision, obviously, and we never want to try to spend anyone else's money. I hope we get Bach back for the right price. But again, that number is at $20.2 million. And again, if we just cut him outright, that's the type of money we're going to be saving. 20.2 is what we're going to be saving against the cap. Because if I read it correctly, looking at Spot Track, he does not have a roster bonus at all. So Mike Hebring with the super chat. Thanks, buddy. We appreciate you, man. He said, Clayton, that's why you love me. Why you love me? What are we talking about, Mike? I'm lost. That's why you love me. I love you for the super chat. You're right, man. We really appreciate that.
$2. That's pretty cheap. That's all it takes, Clayton. $2, and you're in love.
Yeah, man. Listen, the economy's bad, man. You know what I'm saying? The economy's down. You got to do what you got to do. I can feel my face getting red, Tim. So I appreciate that, Bub. That's not again. Thank you for the super chat. Let's see. Mike said something before that too. Maybe this will put a little clarity on it. And if you'll keep
there we go. Okay.
Keep an eye on the live chat for me too. He may clear it up here, but he said picking up Wagner is fine, but should not change anything. This how they approach the linebacker position in the draft. Yeah, no, absolutely, Mike. That's the thing. Like, I'm blown away at people on Twitter that are like, no, there's no way we're drafting an offensive line. I'm going, so if the best offensive lineman's available when you pick, you're going to just skip over it because we're just not going to take any offensive lineman. That's just odd to me that people kind of, look at it that way. So I completely agree with you there, Mike. It should not change anything about how we attack linebacker. Mike Hebring says in the chat, Nixon should be back as returner only and depth piece in the back end. Amen.
That might be what he was talking about, because that's pretty much what you've said from the beginning with Keyshawn is, great for the return game, but, definitely number 2 guy on your depth chart in the slot.
It just gives you that nice floor at the slot position. Someone who's had some experience. He graded out of 60, right? If I remember correctly, playing corner. So, that's not horrible, right? Especially for someone that can be, most likely the best kick returner in the game. So, there you go. Ron hit it on the head. Nixon could be a good nickel backup. Completely agree with that. So Turtles earlier said Patrick Queen and Edgerrin Cooper, praying emoji. That wouldn't be a bad little combo there too, man. Bring in Patrick Queen. I'm not as sold on Patrick Queen, and the main reason is because the last time I checked, I think they had his market value at $18 million per. And just looking at his PFF,
break out the checkbook if you want to.
Yeah,
go there.
And he hasn't been consistent over the years, right? It's not like this is a guy who's grading out top end every single year. Now, obviously, he's much younger, and people are going to see a little upside there. If you guys remember, the Packers passed up on him. Who did they draft when they passed up on Patrick Queen? Was that the Jordan Love draft? That wasn't, was it? There was someone that
was Queen drafted.
I'm trying to think. There was someone that I just remember that draft specifically, and obviously I wasn't podcasting or a part of the network at the time. I just remember Packer fans being really pissed that they didn't draft Patrick Queen because they went a different route. I just can't remember who it was right offhand. But nonetheless, though, for the right price, I'm okay with Patrick Queen. It's just I feel like $18 million, if that is his true market value, and we're going to find out here real soon with the market being kind of saturated.
Patrick Queen was first round.
Right, yeah.
28th in the 2020 draft, yeah.
Yeah, so that would have been Jordan, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, they basically – I remember Packer fans being pissed because we took Jordan Love instead of Patrick Queen. So, I remember that.
They're not mad anymore.
No, they are not, sir. That is correct. Let's see. Prince in the chat said post-June 1 cap space can be used with when Love's extension comes up around the same time frame, ? He's going to be – we're going to actually be able to technically re-sign him in May, right? Because the last time we worked his deal, I think, was last May. You got to wait a full calendar year before a deal can be reworked. And, so they could technically do that by May. So that's a good point. That would be dropping at about the same time, if you want to try to absorb a little bit more of the front end of that contract extension if and when they do extend Jordan Love. And I think we would all agree that's the right move, is to extend him. Question is, how much is he going to get, right? We were talking about, market value at the quarterback position the other day. I know Baker Mayfield got his contract. I believe that was it 3 years, 100? What did that? If we could find the details of that deal, whether someone wants to post it in the chat or if you want to try to look it up, Tim, I'd like to see. I'm going to go to SpoTrack and pull up the market value.
3 years, $115 million, according to NFL.com.
Got it. So 3 years, 115. Now let me go down here real quick. You guys bear with me. I want to see how close that was, because this is a good way to judge what the market is looking at. Remember that number for me, Tim. All right. And let me find Baker here real quick, because I'd like to see. This will kind of tell us, all right, what can we expect with Jordan as far as his projected market value as well. So Baker's projected market value was 27.1 million per.
Wow.
They were saying 4 years, 108 million. Okay. And after everything was adjusted, 5 years, 147 million. So that's obviously going to come to a little bit shy of 30 million per, right? And what did he actually end up getting per, Tim?
30 million per, fully guaranteed in year one, 10 million guaranteed in 2025, and the last 10 million for injury vesting next season.
Got it.
So 115 million and incentives.
So the per
50 million total guaranteed.
All right. What is the per average of the total contract again?
30 million.
Yeah. See, SpoTrack spot on here, man. They were saying 29.4 million. So the people that are saying there's no way Jordan Love's going to get that much money, SpoTrack's on it, boys. Expect it. Expect it, man. It's I think they're probably going to hit it. So that's what the market. Again, it's not what we think he's worth or what we want to pay as fans. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's what is someone else willing to pay, and what's the market driving for the quarterback position for sure. Mike Hebring with another super chat. Appreciate you, bud. He said, "Speaking my mind, you can always count on that, fellas." Mike, not you, buddy. No, you're always in there sugarcoating stuff, bro. What you talking?
$5 this time, Clayton. I don't know.
Yeah, he set me up, man.
That's a lot of love now, Mike.
Closer, mate. Let me go in here and get cleaned up, Mike. We'll hit the town, you know what I'm saying? Appreciate you, buddy. I appreciate you speaking your mind too, man. There's been many times we've disagreed, but we always agree to disagree and do it respectfully, man. That's the kind of conversation I like. What I can't stand is the people that jump in the chat and are like, "You're stupid." Okay, give them the roadhouse, get them out of here.
That's right.
Especially when they start going at people in the chat. But again, Mike, thank you so much for the super chat, pal. Greg Rice,
a good perspective from Mike. You know, even if it is, like you said, something that we're not necessarily, seeing or agreeing on, Mike always brings it, calls it like he sees it. We really love that.
Yeah, definitely. Greg Rice says, that news makes me sad for Campbell. It sucks to get cut because of injury. I hope he finds a place on the team and balls out. I love how Packer fans are responding to this, because that's what he deserves, man. Dre was one of those dudes. He carried the G and really enjoyed his time here for sure. DeAndre
Campbell is everything that is right about America. I'll just say it like that, man. That dude is just authentic, the real deal. And, it's like Jacob said earlier on Twitter, right? You hate to see him go, but you're just so grateful for everything he did while he was here. And, of course, you want to wish him success no matter where he ends up playing football next year, as long as it's, just not on a Sunday, with us. So as long as he doesn't end up playing against us, we're gonna wish him all the best for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Josh in the chat said AFAM wears an Anders Carlson jersey to bed every night. So there you go. Josh getting in on some of the festivities of trash talking in the chat. Appreciate him. Doug Pointer said, "Can someone please assure me that Aaron Jones will be a Packer come summer? I just can't see this team next year without him." I think he's going to be a Packer, Doug. I think listen, I'm going to say this. This isn't a shot at Spoon. I think Spoon does an excellent job. But when he wrote that article, and it basically, there was a part of the article that maybe it was just a mistake on his part, and I think it was in the title that he actually came out and said, "Hey, I should have set the title different." He made it sound like if Aaron Jones doesn't take a pay cut, then they're going to cut him loose, let him test the market, and then possibly bring him back. And it was shortly after that article hit, Packer fans erupted. right? Like, hell no, dude. Aaron's our
the
guy.
Internet's still running with this crap.
Right.
I mean, I'm seeing stuff 2 hours ago here. Dallas Cowboys looking to poach Packers star running back.
Right. Good luck with that.
Not gonna happen.
When he came back though, and kind of, I don't want to say he walked the article back because that's disrespectful. I think he realized, okay, the message I was trying to portray didn't hit home, right? So I think that could have come from the front office. Like, wait, hey, listen, you heard Goody, right? Goody was talking about, like, he's the heart and soul of this team. We completely expect Aaron Jones back. So hopefully that puts your worries to bed, Doug. I would be extremely surprised if Aaron Jones is not a Packer, man. I think he's going to be back, no doubt about it. So Jarrell says Showtime leaving will hurt like Jordy leaving. Oh, man.
I think it would hurt worse, to be honest. It would sting a little more.
Jordy was just one of those guys, just like Aaron Jones, man. He was one of those guys that he just did everything right. He did it the right way. He was never upset he wasn't getting the ball. He never tried to absolutely break the bank to put the team in a bad spot. Old country boy going back home every offseason, helping his parents, helping his family work on the farm. It's just everything about him was just the Packer way. And you could tell those were the type of guys that Ted Thompson was looking for. Not that Goody isn't, but Ted really put emphasis on these quality individuals. Jordy was one of those dudes, man, no doubt. No doubt about it. Randy Cleavers in the chat said they will restructure Jones. I think that's most likely, Randy, to get that cap number down. I'm of the opinion if Jones doesn't want to restructure, let him make that $17 million. To me, he's that valuable, right? I'm okay with that. Now, I think Goody is a better businessman than that. I think he will get that number down somehow, some way. And even if it does mean spreading a little bit of it out over the next couple of years, right? If Jonesy plays hardball and says, no, I'm not giving that money back, I took a pay cut last year, then just maneuver it around throughout some voidable years, make it a little more cap friendly now, because it's an investment in the team, and it's money well spent when it comes to Aaron Jones, man. It is 2-0 for this. Jones proved that you pay the man exactly what he's worth. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. That's a great point, Clayton. Like you said, if he ultimately doesn't want to restructure, then pay that man. You'd hate to see it end this way.
Yeah.
And we've been hearing this crap for the better part of 2 years now with the whole, we got to cut him up. We got to cut him to free up cap room. And, I heard those drums beating right around this time last year about Aaron Jones. So
I remember that too, man. I'll never forget it. Was it Tyler Herrick that put out an article and said, here's why they should move on from Aaron Jones? And then I remember Nagler going on Cheesehead TV like, listen, he works for us. It doesn't mean we all agree with that. And Nagler basically all but said, you're on your own there, kid. We want Jonesy back. It was a cool conversation. And I know that I think it was Tyler. Watch it not have been Tyler, and it was someone else. I think it was Tyler Herrick that wrote it. Tyler didn't mean any disrespect or anything. He was just pointing out that, hey, look, running backs get older, and it's business,
Yeah, facts. Facts are facts. We don't have to like them,
right.
But it's one thing to do that, and it's another thing to full on speculate. And I think that's what a lot of people have been doing, is just speculating that it's a foregone conclusion that he's gone, and it's like, if anything, we're leaning the other way, right? We think it's pretty much a certainty that he'll finish his career in Green Bay.
Yeah. Yeah, Joe in the chat says add Randall Cobb to that combo too. Randall Cobb's another dude, man. Seeing him break down in tears twice, knowing that his time was done in Green Bay was tough. Because me being a Kentucky fan, I'll never forget, I was at a Joe's Crab Shack in Louisville, Kentucky, downtown Louisville, Kentucky, drinking daddy sodas and slamming crab legs, right? When they drafted Randall Cobb, I about stood on the damn table, man. I was so excited because I watched Randall, he played right in the University of Tennessee's backyard down in, I think it was either Alcoa or Maryville, and the Tennessee Vols didn't recruit him at all. I grew up being a Kentucky fan growing up in Kentucky. Kentucky recruited him. He committed to Kentucky. And as soon as Tennessee found out he committed to Kentucky, they came swooping in, and they were the better program. And he said, no, you guys didn't want me from the get-go. Kentucky did. I'm going to Kentucky. I think he might be the only player in Kentucky Wildcat history to score a punt return touchdown, a kick return touchdown, a rushing touchdown, a receiving touchdown, and throw a touchdown pass. He's done it all.
He's one of the toughest SOBs ever to play. I'll tell you that right now. That can't be understated. I think a lot of times it is. It's understated. especially during his time in Green Bay, man. Randall Cobb was as tough as nails, dude. I mean, shot after shot. Talk about a guy that was not afraid to go over the middle. Oh, you want me to run that one over the middle?
Whatever it took, man.
Catch it in traffic for a first down, I'll do it. That was Randy all day, man. I love that comment, Joe. It's true, you know.
So
that
true.
one hurt. That one hurt. Seeing him and Aaron walking into the tunnel. Ugh. I was at that game. Yikes.
Whoever that cameraman was, he'd be slapped too. Like shove that camera in their face was just like,
like Aaron did. That was great, right?
Was like, get out of here, dude. Give us a minute. My God. That stuff bothers me. But
I'm glad I missed that. I was at that game, so I only had to see, you know, what happened on the field. I didn't get all the theatrics from NBC that night. So
gotcha. Mike Hebring in the chat says Jones will be back if Rosenhaus doesn't screw it up. Hey, that's a good point, Mike. That's a very good point. Drew is if his client says, hey, play hardball, Drew will play hardball with the best of them. I think at the end of the day, Aaron Jones is controlling that conversation, right? So,
hopefully Aaron's telling him the opposite. He's telling his agent, I'm a Packer. You do what you got to do to make this happen.
Yeah, I want as much money as possible, but I'm staying in Green Bay. That's what I pay you to figure out. Go do it. Right.
Figure out that restructure.
Yeah. Who over this in the chat says, I have a friend who used to go to Jordy's church. He always sat in the back so he wouldn't distract anyone from the service. That sounds like Jordy right there, man, for sure. Yeah. Let's see what else we got in the chat here real quick before we move on. Yeah, very good point. Greg says we're a different team with Jones on the field. We've seen that, right? Those last 3 games of the season, man. Whew, that was a different offense because Jones – and you say, okay, what made him so good? Yes, he was a great running back. He was a great rusher, right? I think he led the league in rushing those last 3 weeks. Go watch that Dallas game. Watch that dude block. That guy was stonewalling Micah Parsons, man. I mean, he just knows how to play the game, man, no doubt. Randy Cleavers in the chat says the way Jones balled out the last 5 games, pay him. He was finally healthy. Absolutely.
So I think we all agree that they should keep Aaron Jones around, huh?
Absolutely, man. M. Smitty in the chat says, agree, Greg. Jones makes this team better. Everybody's agreeing across the board. Here's Colby talking about Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb is from Alcoa, and I know his cousin. Good stuff. I knew Mandy had a young lady, and I won't say the name, had a young lady that worked for her in the retail business. And her brother played, I don't want to give too much information here, played for the Indianapolis Colts. I won't say what position, played several years for the Colts. And he was close friends with the Randall Cobb family. And they had some ties there. And, you know, I never met Randall Cobb, but she said you'll never find a more stand-up person than Randall Cobb. Like he was just this family, you know, the family he came from and everything was just phenomenal people. So Ron Samville says, careful, Clayton, tables get pretty slippery slamming crab legs. I think there might be an underlying joke there. We're going to move on, though. I think Antoine Epic, I think he was talking about that very comment there, Ron. I could be wrong. Prince in the chat said, I was certain they would run an end-around pass option for Cobb at some point. Never happened. It still stings. I remember thinking the same thing. I cannot wait to see a wide receiver throwback with Randall Cobb, right? That's the way I could kind of see it. You know, shoot it out wide, do a wide receiver throwback across the field. Cobb to Aaron Rodgers for 6. Let's go. That would have been absolutely phenomenal, especially when Aaron was young enough to run. Yeah. Mike agrees. Cobb is a Packer gold through and through. Definitely. Is he a Packer Hall of Famer? That's the question.
Randall Cobb?
Yeah, you think so? You said that confidently. Tim I try to remove my bias. Like me being a Kentucky fan, I obviously I want him to be. So your reaction sold me, Tim. I want to know.
I live close enough to stand out there with a picket sign. You know, I'll do it, man.
I think he's a Packer Hall of Famer too. I just didn't want to be the one to fly out the handle there and say it, right?
I'll do that for you, Clayton. No problem.
Fearless Randall Cobb says, Joe, going across the middle, man. And you talking about someone that Aaron trusted, right? Like Aaron knew that if he was going to Cobb in those tight windows, Cobb was going to make that catch.
You remember when he was mic'd up for that one game? He took that shot and
on the mic, right? And it
on the mic pack, broke his rib, punctured a lung, spitting up blood, and he's trying to walk back on the field. You know, like
wow,
next level. It's just like we were talking about with Luke Musgrave this year with the lacerated kidney and just him gritting through that, like just next level, man. There's tough, and then there's, you know, Green Bay tough, I guess we'll call it.
Randall Cobb tough.
Randall Cobb tough. There you go.
tougher than the Cobb. You know what I'm saying? 2-0 for this says Jones fired his agent last time because he was playing hardball with the Packers, and Jones just didn't want to go anywhere. That might be again why he's got Rosenhaus too, right? To go, hey, look, just do what the heck I tell you to do. You know, if you're worried about making a higher percentage off of my contract, then go represent someone else, right? Chris says that podcast of Love and Micah Parsons, they talked about Jones, and Parsons was completely shocked with what Jones was doing. And I love how Jordan specified in that podcast too that wasn't even designed to be that way. Like that was just Aaron Jones' football IQ, recognizing where Parsons was and being able to take him away in specific moments, man. Just love it. Jarrell Lee says in the chat, Jordy never bragged or celebrated to me. He was the best in the league at the time. White chocolate, so smooth, so fast. I remember that's what was it Ock Taylor said that for the Steelers. They called him White Chocolate. They said, that white boy fast. They nicknamed him White Chocolate. I'll never forget that. That was on a NFL Network. They were doing some kind of top 10 or something. But Jordy did. He had set some kind of record. There was like a couple records he had set either in college or high school. And I think he set a couple basketball records too, if I remember correctly. Maybe it was track and field, but Duke could run.
Jordy had them hands too, though, man. My goodness.
Late hands. Had them late hands.
Man, I always remember that one in the Super Bowl. That was just that first one he caught from Aaron was incredible. Just like you said, late hands, you know, just put that ball anywhere in the vicinity. He's coming down with it.
My first memory of him was when they drafted him, and I said, who the hell is Jordy Nelson? And then I seen him. I went, oh, we drafted a wide receiver. Oh, God. What's this guy going to be able to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, I was immediately deterred that he was white. Like, this guy's not going to be able to run. Then we seen him on the field and was like, okay.
Seen him cooking DBs. You're like, all right, okay.
We got
and a physical receiver, too. You know, he really had all of those attributes, right? He had the speed. He had the hands, physical, you know, things that you want. All those boxes you want checked off. That was Jordy for sure.
I love that we're just hanging out in the chat tonight, guys. We broke a little news, didn't break news, but we covered a little news, right? Talking about some of these guys that are getting cut loose and everything. But I love that we're just kind of walking down memory lane. We're going to roll with it, man. Greg Rice says, Donald Driver was my favorite human at wide receiver. He is a good man. Yeah, I love his story too. You know, around the time that Aaron Rodgers was having his falling out with Goody, they couldn't get on the same page. I can't remember who interviewed him. I think it might have been Bill Michaels. Someone interviewed him. And they said, you know, what do you think of this, whatever? And they said, did you have any problems with Ted? He said, no. He said, I remember my contract year. Ted always told me the door is open. My door is always open. Anytime you want to come talk to me. He said, I went up there and sat down with Ted and we worked out the deal, just us. I didn't even include my agent. Like, he was just like, that was how Randall Cobb was. Like, I don't need to break the bank. I want to be a Packer. Just a phenomenal guy for sure. We're showing kind of a bad connection here, guys, and it's definitely on Restream side. So, or StreamYard, StreamYard side. Restream keeps taking strays. We don't even use that program anymore. Give them a bad name. Hopefully it'll clear up here in a minute. I apologize if it's a little fuzzy, but yeah. SDM40 said, yeah, whatever, Cobb could catch, but those eyes. Hey, Ox said that too. Ock Taylor said that same very thing on a countdown. They were talking about him. I'll never forget. He said, Randall Cobb, man, he got them eyes, and they zoomed in on his eyes and showed they were like a green color, you know. And he went, I'll never forget. I went, boy, you know you cute. That's what he said.
That's what she said.
I love it, dude. Love it. M. Smitty said, absolutely, Cobb is a Packer Hall of Famer, especially with the iconic Cobb against the Bears. Randall Cobb again. Remember that kid screaming that?
It's Randall Cobb again.
Love it, man.
Oh, Bears tears bring me joy.
Yeah. Joe said, yes, 8 years he bled for us. Everybody's chiming in. Randy Cleaver says, Cobb, Packer Hall of Fame, yes. 2-0 for this. Cobb is a Packer Hall of Famer just because of that touchdown against the Bears and the Hail Mary against the Giants before halftime, Tim.
Oh, when he had the little shove, just the subtle little shove.
Right on the back line, dude.
Let me shove the DB, make sure my feet are down, and let me go ahead and catch this ball real quick. That was Randall Cobb. I love it. That play is burned in my head for eternity. That's one of those, right? There's certain plays that you can close your eyes and just see them, you know? Yeah. It's crazy.
Eric Sutherland. I had crabs once. Never mind. Of course. I don't know why.
We're going to give him some.
Keep that to yourself, Eric. Chris in the chat said Cobb's game against the Bears alone gets him in the Packer Hall of Fame. He just throw that one card up there, right? STM40 Jones had a G necklace. Can't go anywhere. Love it. Greg Rice, Paul has Cobb's eyes.
Oh my
God. Nice. See, I got this is why we don't hang out with the chat, Tim. This is why we don't hang out with the chat, bro.
We're gonna
Roadhouse.
The entire chat right now.
Greg, you're usually one of our better you're usually one of our better commenters, Greg, and I just want you to know, buddy, that these guys are a bad influence on you. All right, so choose wisely who you hang out with in here. Okay, I'll just put it that way. Let's see here. Jarrell Lee says at Greg Rice, can't forget Driver's first down dance, legendary. The little wiggle, right? The wiggle in the point. I can see him doing it right now. Ron Samble, what will Bach's contract need to look like to stay with the Packers? See, that's the question, right, Ron? Like I said, it got reported earlier that Tom Silverstein was reporting it's a pay cut for Bach or a release. What kind of pay cut, though? You guys know earlier in the offseason when I looked at his contract and I said, okay, I'm not cool with paying him that full $40 million and just kicking the can down the road, right? Like and spreading it out. There's got to be some kind of cut. The number I kept coming up with was $7 to $10 million. So that's just me personally. That doesn't mean that Goody sees it that way. And maybe you guys and gals completely disagree. But if they were willing, if Bach was willing to take that base salary from 20.2 down to 13 million, I think it would be worth it, right? That's just me personally. And I know there's many people that would disagree with that, and that's okay. We can agree to disagree. But I want it to work so bad. But for those people that go, Clayton, we've done this for 3 straight years. I understand. I can't argue with that either. Business is business, right? But just love Bach so much, man. I'd love to see him back for sure. Yep. Let's see here. 2-0 for this says Lab McConkey is Jordan's Jordy. That'd be cool if they. Hey, I'll tell you this. There was many people that wasn't sold on Lab McConkey, and then he kind of flashed at the combine, and people going back watching the tape now, and they're going, "Hey, he might be the real deal." We'll see, though, right? We'll see. Randy Cleaver says, act like you've been there, hand the ball to the officials, and go on. That was Jordy. I always call it the Barry Sanders effect, Tim. That's what Barry Sanders was so good at, right? He would make everyone on the field miss a tackle. He'd make a few of them miss twice, scamper for 60 yards for a touchdown, hand the ball to the official, and go back to the sideline. As a defense, you got to look at him and go, he doesn't think that's a big deal. We're in for a long day, boys. I think there is a psychological effect of that. It's kind of like the old Jim Brown effect. They said that Jim would always get up off the ground slow every single play. And they asked him, they're like, why do you get off the ground so slow? He said, I don't ever want them to know when I'm tired. I don't ever want them to know when I'm hurt. If you always get up slow, they never know when you're affected, right? Yeah. I was thinking, man, and especially in the golden era of pro football where toughness was key because those guys, Dick Butkus, Ray Nitschke, Chuck Bednarik, all the old school linebackers, they were out to hurt guys, So pretty cool to hear arguably the best running back in the history of the game. Just a little insight there into how he approached that, getting up off the ground, little things like that. Ron Samble said receivers were tough back then also, no protection from the rules. The first thing that popped to mind, Ron, go back and watch the Ice Bowl and look at Boyd Dowler get slammed on the turf in that Ice Bowl, and he immediately grabs his head. I mean, that's like hitting concrete. That's just one example. Like you said, they used to clothesline them, take their head off. Chuck Bednarik, I think it was Frank Gifford that he hit coming across the middle, and there's a famous picture of Gifford laying on the ground lifeless, basically, and Chuck Bednarik standing over him acting like he's punching him, just take that. That was back in the I think the Vince Lombardi days of him being the offensive coordinator for the New York Football Giants too. So, man, some of those old films, boy, go back and watch some of those games. There's some hard hits in those.
Oh my gosh.
Let's see here. I shouldn't have clicked on that one, I don't think. Yeah. All right. Jake Shavink, it's clean, says at 2-0 for this. Lad at 25, let's do it. Jake, you're going to get us in trouble with these receivers. I'm tired of it. You got me so much hate.
Wide receiver with the 25th pick?
I'm just saying, and I think Jake knows too, it's been a decade, Tim, that people have been saying the Packers need to take a receiver. The Packers need to take a receiver, and we've just laughed at them and not done it in the first.
I'll tell you what, Marvin Harrison Jr. falls at 25, we take him. All right.
Marvin Harrison Jr., Roma Dunze, one of those guys fall, yeah, pull the trigger. But that would be hilarious if they took a receiver at 25. Man. I'm telling you, if it happens on draft night, you're going to hear me laugh out loud because there are going to be so many people mad. The same people that were mad that they didn't take one in the first round for so many years will be the people that are pissed that they're taking one in the first round this year. That's what's so ironic about it. It'll be hilarious, man. Joe in the chat here, hanging out with us on Twitter, says the spinning catch on the sideline against the Giants from Jordy is still top 5 catches I've seen. Great catch there for sure. SDM40 said driver's family lived in a U-Haul at times. I thought it was him. There was another player too. James Jones was another one that was homeless for a little bit, but I do remember the U-Haul story. Driver's family was so broke, so poor, they were homeless, and they had a U-Haul that they were living out of.
Yep. Got to read his book, man. Got to read his book. Tells the story, man.
Heck yeah. Randy Cleaver's in the chat, says great show, Daddy Sodas and Talking Ball. I appreciate the super chat, Randy. Thank you so much, man. We'll have a Daddy Soda on you. We really appreciate it. The stream, man, for sure. Let's see what else we got in here as we get ready to wind down. This has been a fun conversation, man. Like M. Smitty said, walking down memory lane, Freeman's catch off his back still amazes me to this day. Remember, we did a little mini chalk talk to that, Tim. That was a lot of fun.
That might be I'm not going to say greatest, but that might be the most amazing catch in Packer history right there. Talk about another play burned in your memory forever. Like, I don't need to go to YouTube to see the video. It's here.
You can still see it, yeah.
Still see it.
Chad Inc. in the chat says that back shoulder throw 12-87 against the Niners where Nelson laid out and still kept his toe drag. Dude was amazing. That back shoulder throw, I understand why Aaron was mad when they cut him loose. Now, it obviously proved to be the right decision because Jordy really didn't do anything after that. They got rid of him at the right time, as cold as that sounds. But I also understand Aaron's thought process of, look, just because he didn't have success with another quarterback doesn't mean he wouldn't have continued to have success here because if there was ever a quarterback wide receiver combination that had a connection to him, it was him and Jordy with that back shoulder.
Oh, yeah. And that was just the old, get away from someone a year too soon rather than a year too late mentality, I think, with Jordy. But, yeah, I think we all would have preferred to see another year with the Packers rather than one in was it Oakland at the time? They were still in Oakland. One with the Raiders. So, that would have been nice. But, yeah, Jordy was the man, dude. And you're right. That back shoulder was, like, almost undefendable for teams. Like,
and I think
to watch that.
I think Aaron was on a podcast just the other day, and he was talking about that very thing of a throw he threw to Jordy, and I can't remember what year it was, but he remembered it vividly that it came in too low. And he said, I remember coming out the next time I looked at, and Jordy looked at me like, give me another one, I'll catch it. Give me he said Jordy looked at him like, give me a better ball and I'll catch it because Aaron had missed the throw, which I love that they had that mutual respect. And he said, I remember, I think he said he broke the huddle. He came out and he said, I just remember thinking, I got 8 feet. I got to get it 8 feet off the ground. And he's talking about the muscle memory of exactly how much pressure to put on that index finger, right? Releasing the ball. And we're just surgical. Absolutely. 12 in his prime.
Yep. Gosh. And then to see him do it a few years later, you remember in Dallas, right? When we had the shot to Devontae, which was kind of a back shoulder. And same scenario, bad ball by Aaron. Or not I don't know about a bad ball, but not a great ball.
Perfect ball, right?
Yeah, Tay couldn't come down with it. He looked right at him and said, let's run it back. And they ran the same play again. And what did we have? We had a tutter. I love it.
Absolutely. Jake Shavink said 2-0 for this. Might have an Olave Light joining the team in Ladd. Talking about Ladd McConkey. I'm down for that. I wouldn't disagree either. Jarrell Lee in the chat asked Jake, are you streaming? Jake said Wednesday. There you go. So look for Jake Shavink streaming on Wednesday night. That's good timing too, Jake. We'll have maybe if you want to get outside of the free agent talk a little bit, or out of the draft talk a little bit and talk free agency, you'll probably have a lot to talk about there. But you guys make sure you're subscribed to Jake's channel, okay?
Yes.
Type in that name right there. I'm pretty sure that'll send you straight to his channel, Jake Shavink NFL. Last name is spelled SCHYVINCK and then NFL all caps. Jake Shavink NFL. Those of you listening on the pod too, go ahead and type it in your phone. I know you're at work listening to this and you're not doing anything productive. Stop pretending like you are. Okay, so go ahead and go sub to Jake's YouTube channel. It's
absolutely
phenomenal. Yeah, Paul, I see you. I see you keeping score, Paul. I ain't putting it on the screen, but you cracked me the hell up. Unbelievable. Mike Evering said, at Jake, I'm serious as a heart attack. I would love a wide receiver at 25, McConkey or Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas is another one that's a stud. Tim, look at the chat in here. Look at the chat in here is trying to sell people on wide receivers, man. Y'all going to get me hated on. I got to start. I'm going to start treating those comments like they're vulgar or something, not read them out loud, because I'm telling you, Jake about got me, he about got me burned at the stake the other night with that wide receiver he took.
So what? We're moving Malik Heath to corner now, or what?
Exactly. Let's see here. Jake says, Mike Evering, a.k.a. Packers super fan. I'm all in for Thomas. Talking about Brian Thomas at 25.
Oh, man, look. They got numbers, man. Pretty deep now, Clayton. You and me might be by ourselves here with wanting to take a secondary player.
I love it.
Oh, man.
Too old for this, taking a shot at me. I've got this bright light because people are like, you need to brighten your setup. I'm over here going, I'm squinting, blinking like a crackhead. I can't, you know what I mean? And too old for this, says Clayton, reading all the comments like he's Ron Burgundy. I love it.
How many times do I have to tell you, if you put it on the prompter, he's going to read it?
Stay classy, San Diego. Oh, man, I love it. Let's see here. If Bach wants to stay, he will take what's offered. Hey, Randy over here playing hardball. You're right, Randy. You want to be a Packer. But if they come in at, at $2.5 million, Bach probably going to go, you know what? I think I'm just going to go with Frankie and take the daughter, and we're just going to go live on a beach somewhere. So can't say I blame him. Yeah. All right. Tim, anything else you want to hit on, man? I know we hit on the super chat. We kind of fell behind on some of the chat here. Yeah, you bet. SDM40 says Clayton tweaking for some brownies. Clayton's done with brownies for a little bit, boys. I'm just telling you right now, man. That was rough. That was a different kind of hurt there, man. How about me getting food poisoned and oil poisoned? I guess you could say vegetable oil poisoned in the same calendar year, all at the hands of your wife, right?
That's what, 2 or 3 days after you were already sick? Weren't you not feeling well a couple days before that?
Absolutely. And I finally get to feeling a little bit better. I'm like, I'm going to slam some of these brownies. Yeah. She about killed me, boys. Bad shit. All right. We'll end it here with Jay. Well, let's see here. What's Antoine say? Antoine, well, we got David Mitchell in here, too. Let's go in order. We got to start wrapping this thing up here. David Mitchell says, too many needs this year to take a receiver in the first unless they're better than a healthy Watson. I think that's a fair assessment, Dave, because, like Tim pointed out, who you cut? Are you going to carry 7 receivers? You're going to carry 6 receivers, right? If you feel good about your wide receiver room, that's the problem. Now, if the value's there, sometimes the value is too great to pass up on, right? But again, if you're telling me that if you can draft a receiver at 25 that's better than every receiver in the room, I think it's worth it. It's just we all know the draft is just such a crapshoot, right? So I see both sides. I can understand the people that go, no, I don't want to touch a wide receiver in this draft, but I also understand the people that like, hey, if the value's there, man, you got to pull the trigger. For sure.
Especially if you're able to do it without neglecting your other needs. If you can still cover these bases that we talked about, I'm all for it. Yeah. We were saying the same thing about tight end when we did a mock yesterday, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to. We'd like some depth there, right? Of course, now we're hearing that Tyler Davis is likely going to be retained. So, see how he looks after, rehab and from that, I believe it was ACL also, right?
Yeah.
That he had. So, we could add another tight end, but, not at the expense of neglecting offensive line or corner or safety, Yeah.
So now it would come down to if you do take a tight end in the draft, you got to feel pretty confident that they're going to be better than Ben Sims and Tyler Davis. Now, some people were going, Clayton, that's not too hard. And I understand that standpoint. But they did like Tyler Davis, man. For special teams purposes, I think he was our best SIF blocker out of all the tight ends. Now, that's not saying a whole lot, seeing that you had 2 rookie tight ends that had to learn the offense. But, yeah. Antoine in the chat said they never drafted a wide receiver in the first round with Aaron. Wouldn't it just be fitting to draft one now with the silly emoji? Boy, Pat McAfee will have a field day with that one if it happens. No doubt about it. Jake in the chat said, I love what's happening in the chat regarding wide receiver at 25. I'll take responsibility for being an instigator. LOL, you should, Jake. Yeah. Own it, buddy. Let's see here. Yeah, SDM40, Jake, I'm not taking the bait, you troublemakers. The chat has been awesome tonight, man. You guys have been great. So, all right, let's get out of here, Tim. Any parting thoughts, buddy? I don't think any other news. I'm going to come through Twitter one last time here. What do you got to say as we wrap up, Al?
Looking forward to the start of the official season here coming up Wednesday. Obviously, tomorrow's a big day. Get ready. Set your Google alerts. Make sure you're setting your alerts on Twitter and, keep staying with us here, too. Appreciate everyone that showed up tonight. Got almost 400 people in here, whether that's on Twitter or on YouTube. So, we're going to cover this as best we can and maybe even throw in a few emergency podcasts if we get some breaking news throughout the coming days. So just happy to be here, Clayton. Happy to be a part of this. This is the most I paid attention to college football players in a long time. So it's just nice to be here with guys like you and Jake and Jacob and, Emilio. I learned so much. So just happy to do it again tomorrow, man. It's going to be great.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, you make the show better, dude. The chat makes the show better. It's just cool to get together with Packer fans. This is exactly what I had visioned when I said, hey, let's start going live on YouTube is, Packers Total Access, Packer Fan Total Access. This is a show for Packer fans to come together, put our heads together, talk about what's going on around the Packers, learn a little bit along the way. We had a history segment queued up, but the chat just absolutely crushed it, man.
Look at Ron. Ron's putting his foot down. You see that?
Ron putting pressure on him. Ron says 400 people, but 30 likes. Slam it. Let's go, guys. Hit them with the pinky. Use that.
Take it out.
Use that pinky right there and hit that like button for us. All right. We greatly appreciate it. So, all right. Let's get out of here. Appreciate everybody. Give a special shout out to Mike Hebring and Randy Cleavers for the super chats. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Everyone in the chat tonight, you guys were phenomenal. We'll be back tomorrow morning for Good Morning Lambeau, most likely. Pretty soon we're going to go to one show a day, which will just be Packers Total Access live in the evening. And then, we'll probably still do 2 or 3 Good Morning Lambos in the morning throughout the week. But we'll just see how the schedule drops. I'm about to get really, really busy, but we're still going to stay committed to doing at least one show a day. And really appreciate everybody being a part of it. So with that being said, those of you who are listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your day. We greatly, greatly appreciate you guys and gals too. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go, Pack, go.
The power sweep. Actually, it's the lead play in our offense.
Yes, a YN or a tight end to open up somewhere between 6 feet and 9 feet. Get an isolation with the linebacker. Tell the tackle to take the defensive end if he's over him. If he's not, to drive down on the first man to his inside. If the YN has the linebacker taken out, he cuts inside. If the YN has the linebacker in, he comes all the way around. If you look at this play, what we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here, and try to run this play in the alley.